Hey everyone, welcome to NASCAR America Splash and Go. We got Kyle Petty, AJ Allmendinger. Guys, a fun race at Richmond. What stood out to each of you? We'll start with you, Kyle.
Honestly, I don't know why I didn't expect it, but what stood out to me was the Penske dominance. And I don't mean just lead the race. I mean drive away with the race and kind of control the race. So Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano, those guys, very impressive to me. Even though it was a short track, very impressive.
Yeah, for me, it really two things. Austin Dillon was phenomenal. And I kind of had to laugh because when I was in the 47, it seemed like RCR and us in the 13, there was times we'd run from like 22nd to about 27th every time we went to Richmond. So his comments of, we've been pretty good at Richmond over the last few races there, I was shocked by it. And then I looked at his stats and thought, oh, he's actually right. I'm just used to us always running 25th there. So phenomenal. And then really Denny Hamlin to run up front, win the first stage, and then have that speeding penalty. And you thought, okay, he'll just drive through the field at some point here. And really from there on was horrible for what we think Denny Hamlin should be. That shocked me. And I mean, he's safe for the next round, no doubt, but was really shocking just how bad they struggled once that penalty happened.
What's interesting to me about that, AJ, is that we saw the same thing at Darlington. They ran very well at Darlington. They lost their track position and then went nowhere. So that's two races in a row that they lost that track position. You wonder if that's cause for concern. This is a team that was on fire, and then the first two races of the playoffs, not the kind of performance that we expected to see for sure. Hey, listen, I just got to say that Austin Dillon, I'm going to say, is a surprise of the year, not just the playoffs. I didn't see this coming. I just didn't see it at all. Credit and kudos to them because they've stepped their game up and have found a way to bring real speed to the playoffs, KP. I know we had a conversation earlier. They had a good finish at Darlington. Didn't run great at Darlington, but did a great day of managing the race. But in Richmond, they were lights out. And with a few things happening differently, they could have even finished, in my opinion, they could have had a chance to really contend for that win.
Yeah, and fact, all of that. And listen, and let's go back. And you know what, Jeff, and you know what, AJ, this is a sport of streaks. This is a sport of momentum. And you bring it up, Jeff, is Denny Hamlin, has his momentum run out? I mean, 2 mistakes in 2 races that he didn't recover from. But Austin Dillon and those guys, we talk about it all the time. You can't flip a switch. Somewhere in Welcome, North Carolina, they flipped a switch. And I'm telling you, man, they have picked up the pace, and not just to level 2. They went all the way to level 9 or 10. It's a huge improvement, a huge statement. And if they can just continue like this, they're going to be a factor in the next round and the round after that at least.
Well, they've put themselves in position for us not to talk about them going to Bristol. And I think that's a great thing for them. They have just a decent day. They're going to advance out of this round based on the work that they've done. But not everyone can say that. And I think that we need to have a conversation. Let's just assume that Kyle Busch is going to get in. He's so good at Bristol. So back in points, we started Amarola, who's 10th in points, go all the way down to Blaney. So of those guys, AJ, who are the 2 people? One that you think has a really good shot, and another guy that you're concerned about.
Well, if I had to really look at somebody that had a good shot, I think Kurt Busch. He's fairly good at Bristol. Although the one thing that makes me worry is kind of looking back at the All-Star race. They Chip Ganassi Racing was terrible there. So I'm a little nervous about that, but Kurt gets around that place so well. So he's right on that cutoff, but I love how good and how he kind of manufactures solid races. And he was doing the same thing at Richmond. He didn't really have the right pace. Maybe wrong pick strategy at the end of the race, but he was manufacturing another good day. So I think he'll go to Bristol, do the same thing, and go out there and make sure that he advances to the next round. And then really, I mean, if you have to look at it, is Ryan Blaney. And I guess it's simple in one fact. He has to win. There's no doubt. He's not going to point his way in unless there's just some tremendous things that happen to the guys in front of him. Most likely he has to go out there and win, but I'm just concerned by how bad they've been the first 2 races. And Kyle just said the Penske dominance, well, 2 of the 3. I mean, Ryan Blaney was terrible at Richmond. We know that's not his best racetrack, but he's a good enough race car driver, and that team is good enough. You think they'd figure it out, but just been a struggle the first 2 races. So he's got to go to Bristol and win.
Yeah, I look at listen, I love sports, and I love it because of the Cinderella stories and the underdog. But Matt DiBenedetto lasted to Darlington, and that was pretty much over. Our Cinderella story was over because he's in that same situation. You've got to win. Going into Bristol in a must-win situation against the other 15 playoff drivers is basically almost impossible. I mean, it's crazy because everybody stepped up a game. We talk about Austin Dillon and RCR stepping up their game. It's a different level. It's a different Bristol than it was for the All-Star race. It's a different Bristol than we've seen here before because the intensity level ramps up for these 16 guys, at least for a lot of them. So I look at that. That's going to be tough. William Byron, man, did he show up at Richmond? I thought I saw him on the grid, but then I never saw him after that. And that surprised me. After they came out of Dover on that Saturday, after they went to Daytona, they seemed to be clicking. They seemed to have that momentum going, but they just absolutely missed it. Where his teammate Alex Bowman had a workmanlike day and made the best of what he had and had a good run that kept them up in the points. Clint Boyer has 2 10th place finishes and not a lot to show for it. And I know we talk about Kyle Busch saying, well, Kyle Busch probably going to make it. But you know what? He went into this thing just like Clint Boyer with not a lot of playoff points. And playoff points are what propel you right along that bubble right now from the 16 to the 12. And they just don't have – these guys are working without a net. That's the best way to put it. We're going to Bristol with the Flying Walendas, and there's 6 or 7 of them, and a couple of them are going to hit the ground when it's all said and done. And I feel bad for them, but they had 26 races to gain playoff points, and they missed it in those 26. I don't know what would make any of us think that they would have a spectacular run at Bristol and make up those playoff points they left on the table in the previous 26 races.
Yeah, Kyle, I think your point is, I think that goes for a lot of people. I think that Alex Bowman, Kyle Busch, I think Chase Elliott's probably safe enough. But if you don't get stage points in those first 2 stages and then you crash and finish 33rd, you could be in trouble. Some other guys step up. A lot of people got to go through you, right, for those scenarios to happen. But it could stack up against you, and almost anybody find themselves out. It's just going to depend on what kind of race we get at Bristol, right? If we get a Saturday night knockdown, drag out fight, then you're going to have some people that just plain and simple get wrecked and don't have an opportunity to earn the points that they're going to need. And you wonder if you want to wreck early or late. If you wreck early, you have enough time to recover, and some other people could fall out, and maybe you get going again. If you wreck late and you didn't gain stage points, you don't have time to maybe get recovered. So it'll be interesting to see how that falls out. The person that concerns me the most is Eric Amarola. Eric Amarola, to me, they've been really good in the regular season. They were very steady, doing the things they needed to do, kind of point racing, old school point racing, right? But the playoffs, you got to go perform at a little higher level. And when I look at the success that they've had at Bristol, I'm concerned. I'm very concerned about their ability to go outrun their teammates to get themselves in. We'll see. They're going to have to step their game up. The opportunity is there. We've seen Austin Dillon step his game up. Eric's going to have to do that going into Bristol. And my surprise, and a guy that I think can get himself and advance, and I'm going to say, and everybody's going to say you're nuts, is Ryan Blaney. And here's why. If you look at the number of races that Ryan Blaney has led at Bristol and the number of times that he's been leading when got into a wreck, he has the speed. I agree with you, AJ. I don't really think that he's going to be able to point himself in, but I think he can win himself in. Of everybody that we're talking about, he is the guy that I think has enough speed and has shown me at Bristol to have enough speed where he can win this race and advance into the next round. And when we've seen in the playoffs, people do it. People find a way to dig deep and go win a race. We've seen it multiple times, and I think this is an opportunity for Ryan and his team to step up to the plate and find a way in a big moment on a big stage to move themselves forward. I know that's a stretch, Kyle, but I think he can do it.
Let me say this. If he wins Bristol, he wins the championship. Okay, so I just put him all the way in to a trophy because and I hear what you're saying and you're right. You know, and listen, when we talk about these guys, we're talking a lot of ifs and buts. But the thing is, what concerns me about Ryan Blaney and that team is exactly some of the points you brought up. They've had speed, they've led races, they've run up front, and they've given it away in stage 3 almost every time. They should be sitting here right now, I feel, with at least 3 to 4 wins. 3 to 4 wins on regular racetracks, not restrictor plate racetracks, on regular racetracks. And they won a restrictor plate track by about a half inch. And that's all they have to show for their regular season. So I hear what you're saying. And I will put them in my fantasy league in the garage. Okay. I promise you I will do that. I will listen to what Jeff Burton said and put him in my fantasy league in the garage. But I don't think I'll be bringing him out after the second segment.
Well, the one thing we do know is there's going to be 4 drivers and teams that are very disappointed leaving Bristol because their championship shot is over. Can't wait to watch and see who can step up and who can make something happen Saturday night at Bristol.
Hey Motorsports fans, thanks for watching. Make sure you hit subscribe before you go for all the latest news and highlights across motorsports.